Hello and thank you for joining me for a city tour downtown Kassel. My name is Mekkis from Team Mekkis-Audiotours and I will try to make your tour here today as interesting and enjoyable as possible. The circular Königsplatz was designed and installed by Simon Louis de Ries in the context of the rearrangement of the Kassel downtown area in 1767. The square got its name as a reminder for the late Landgrave Friedrich I, who died in 1751. Due to marriage, as I already said, Friedrich was also King of Sweden. During the reign of Jérôme Bonaparte, from 1807 to 1813, the square was renamed to Napoleonsplatz, Napoleon Square. It was planned to erect a bronze statue of Napoleon Bonaparte at the center of the square. The statue should have been made by the local sculptor Johann Werner Henschel, and the bronze should have been provided by local mines and foundries. However, that statue had never been built. Instead, a statue of Napoleon, made of Carrara marble by the French artist Antoine Denis Chaudet, was unveiled in November 12, 1812. This statue depicted the French emperor as a Roman imperator dressed in toga and laurel wreath. In his right hand he carried a roll symbolizing the Constitution. However, this statue did not stay very long. After the French had been defeated in 1813, it fell victim to vandalism. The remains that are still intact can be found at the Museum of Cast Friedrichstein in Bad Wildung nowadays. In 1831, the General Post Office building was built here at Königsplatz. It was positioned exactly where you can find today's shopping mall City Point, just on the opposite end of the square. City Point is the building with the black and white dotted facade next to the tram tracks. Like many other buildings of the old Kassel, the post office was completely destroyed during the bomb raids of 1943. The black and white facade of City Point is actually not painted, but made of unique black and white photographs. In the time between the construction of the General Post Office and World War I, there were many hotels around Königsplatz. Back then, people still used the travel of stagecoaches, which were operated by the post. After World War I, traveling by train became more and more popular, and the hotels moved to the area of the central station. And today they again moved to the station of Wilhelmshöhe. The prime hotel in town was called König von Preußen, left of the post office at the other side of Poststraße, just where you can see today's coffee shop Starbucks. The building left of it dates back to 1909 and is one of the only two remaining houses that survived World War II. All other buildings had to be torn down after the war. The second building, dating back to the pre-war times, is the Commerzbank building. It is the corner house behind you on the right. The Commerzbank building was erected in 1911 and replaced the former Hesse-Rotenburg Palace, which served as an administrative office for the Prussian administration from 1867 to 1882. Königsplatz, as it looks today, was rearranged in 2005. From 1950 to 2005 there were stalls selling newspapers and local snacks at the center of the square. One of the snacks being sold was the locally famous Speckkuchen. In the context of Documenta 9 in 1992, a stairway with attached platform was erected at the center of Königsplatz by architect Gustav Lange. The staircase actually led nowhere. It was built at the instigation of Documenta art director Jan Hurt and was supposed to be a relaxing area for Documenta visitors. However, the staircases has not torn down after the Documenta has ended, but remained standing as a part of urban rearrangement, mainly to the displeasure of Kassel's citizens. Even though many citizens insisted on tearing down the construction as they considered it as a disfigurement of the square, the architect refused to accept those claims. As a consequence, then in charge Mayor Lewandowski had the construction torn down in a cloak and dagger operation. Of course, the architect filed a suit, but in the end the mayor was acquitted of a charge. The gargoyles, also known as elephant teeth, which spill water during summer, were installed in the context of the rearrangement of the square in 2005. You should now see one of the few remaining ruins of Kassel on the right side of the street. Well, actually you only see the outer walls of the Italian restaurant Il Convento, but those really are actual ruins. Personally, I think that the implementation of the old walls into the restaurant is very well done. Those ruins are the remains of the former Garnisonkirche, garrison church. It was consecrated in 1770 as a place of the sermons of members of the military that were not members of the Catholic Church, but Protestants, for example Lutherans and Calvinists. The money for the construction of the church was provided by Katharina Gottschalk, widow of a Hessian captain. She gave her fortune to the garrison community, provided that it was used to build a church. The construction process started in 1757 under the guidance of master builder Heinrich Christoph Bröckel. Unfortunately, the construction works had to stop in 1756 because of the 7 Years' War. After the war, the construction process was recommenced, and in 1770 the church building apart from the steeple was completed. In 1780, Simon Louis de Ries erected a small belfry. In the era of Westphalia Kingdom between 1807 and 1813, the church was used as a forage depot. Forage back then was a noble term for horse fodder. Not before 1816 was the church sacred again. As the city palace of Kassel, including its chapel, burned down during the French occupation, the garrison church was also used as a royal chapel for quite a while. During the bomb raids of World War II, this church gutted as well. However, the outer walls completely remained intact, but were removed to the basement in 1955. During Documenta 8 in 1987, the ruins were part of an artistic installation by the Japanese artist Tadashi Kawamata. After Documenta 8, the area was used for multiple small business establishments, and today it is home of the restaurant Il Convento. By the way, below the terrace of the restaurant, there still are walls of important military people. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you if they can be visited. We now follow Oberste Gasse to the left until we reach the next street corner. The small square we are passing on the way is called Entenanger. In former address registers of Kassel, the place was referred to as a square-like expansion along the former Entengasse between Oberste Gasse and Moat. It is supposed that here once was a medieval moat where ducks could be found. Duck means Ente. Back then it was not known as Entenanger yet. In the medieval times the street had been called Entengasse, Duck Lane. In 1854 it changed its name to Petrigasse and was renamed Entengasse again afterwards. Not before 1955, when Kassel had already become a major city, the square was renamed Entenanger, which actually is a rural expression. Astonishing, isn't it? We are now positioned at the entrance of Druselturm. The square is named after the medieval round tower which you can see at its end, the Druselturm. Druselturm is part of the few remains of the medieval fortifications which, as we know, were torn down between 1767 and 1774. It is one of very few remaining intact buildings from medieval times in all of Kassel. The other medieval tower being Sphärenturm, located at Friedrichsplatz. Druselturm has a height of 44 meters and a diameter of 9.2 meters. At the ground level, its walls are up to 2.75 meters thick. Druselturm was erected in 1415 to cover a weak link within the fortifications, the spot where the water of the Druselbach, Drusel stream, was let into the city. The water of Drusel stream was stored in a pond in front of the tower, and whenever necessary it was channeled through small ditches in order to clean the city. Those ditches were called Drusel. Before the tower was erected in 1415, that at the same spot there had been a mill, the Druselmühle, Drusel mill. By the way, it is assumed that the city of Kassel borrowed 150 guilders from the citizen in 1414 to finance the construction. The tower was originally used as a dungeon and prison. The prisoners were let down to the dungeons below the towers through a hole in the tower's floor. This was learned through a bill of 1526 that claimed 6 albus, a former kind of coin, for a rope to let down and pull up prisoners. Landgrave Philip the Magnanimous, who actually was in imperial imprisonment between 1547 and 1552, adding a heating system to the dungeons of Druselturm. Later, Druselturm was used as smokehouse and depot. Nowadays it is abandoned and can unfortunately not visited.